Welcome to Redlaw's next Spotlight interview, and I'd like to introduce Nick Davis, who is the London managing partner of US firm Haynes Boone, and also one of the leading corporate lawyers in London, according to the Times very recently. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks, Jonathan. Nice to be on your show.
Yes. So let's start by talking a bit about your background.
Yeah.
You spent 24 years, I think it was, 25 years at Memory Crystal, leading and growing a really prestigious boutique corporate law firm.
Yeah.
Which then merged with Rosenblatt. Mm-hmm. And here you are at Haynes Boone. What brought you to Haynes Boone?
It was really, I'd known the firm a long time. Yeah. I'd instructed Haynes Boone many years ago to help with an IPO. And had stayed in touch with them around potentially working together, and it was time for a change. I'd only been at two firms my entire career, and once I got to know the opportunity, the platform, most importantly the people and the culture, it was pretty clear to me that this is where I wanted to take the next steps in my career.
You mentioned the culture. How would you describe the culture? Or rather, the London legal marketplace now is really crowded.
Yeah.
There's lots of US firms, there's lots of UK firms. Everyone talks about culture, and how would you describe Haynes Boone culture, and how does it kind of stand out from the crowd?
So Haynes Boone is a Texan law firm. Yeah. It was originally in Dallas. It's now, and I think has been consistently the largest law firm in Texas. So it's very different to the East Coast law firms, of which there are many. And it's what I would call a traditional partnership. And by that, I have this term, proper partners.
Yep.
You know what it means, because you and I have worked together for well over 10 years. And the firm is all about the whole and not the individual. And so culture here is there is a positive reward for sharing. We don't measure originations. It is very much about what have you done for the firm? What have you done? Have you worked with your colleagues? And so we want partners that are going to add to the firm and not sit in a silo and just do their thing. And I think from what I gather, because as I said to you, this is my third law firm in 30 years, that may not be the same across the City of London. I've interviewed lots of partners over the years, and this is a place that is looking for a particular sort of person, and that culture runs throughout the firm across the world, mainly across the US. We have a Mexican office as well, again culturally completely aligned, and it's what's driven the success and the growth of the firm. The New York office has pretty much doubled in the last 5 years, and we are taking partners out of larger US law firms who want a different sort of partnership.
Okay, and how does London fit into that? Given you mentioned the growth in New York, and there's a number of offices, right? I think 19, I think in total.
Yeah.
How does London
20, hot off the press.
20.
Boston has now opened, so we're now 20.
Congratulations. So,
thank you.
And how does London fit into this?
It's 10 years since Haynes Boone entered London in partnership with the CDG law firm. It started off, I think there were 9 or 10 people, and we're now close on 80. And the firm has grown very systematically, very methodically, very thoughtfully, absolutely culturally and aligned to the principles that we just talked about. So I see, and what was exciting for me as an opportunity was to come and drive the growth of the London office very much to match what we're doing in Dallas, what we're doing in New York, what we're doing across the US for the international clients. And again, what's the differentiator? It's what we just talked about. It's a different offering, but the firm in the US is absolutely blowing the doors off. You know, we've just had an astonishingly strong 2025. We act for a lot of global businesses, and therefore London, and we use London as a gateway to the Middle East,
Yep.
and Africa and the rest of the world, which is where I've spent a lot of time working. And so we've just moved into these beautiful new offices. Yep. We moved in at the beginning of December, which is a real statement on behalf of the partnership of the ambition for the London office.
See, the pictures are up now.
The pictures are up.
When I first came in, you asked my opinion, I think, and I'm hopeless with that.
Yeah,
I'd have put all the wrong things in the wrong places.
I ignored your opinion completely.
Yeah.
But it's very much a global partnership. The other thing I think that's quite different, and again, limited expertise in what other partnerships do, is London is not a separate profit centre. London is where lawyers work across sectors and across departments, and we're very much a single partnership. So I spend as much time talking to my capital markets partners in Dallas and in New York as I do my partners next door, because we're in the capital market section. So the firm is run on sections, and so the fund finance team, who are an absolutely preeminent team in the US and in the UK as well, that is a seamless offering for our global clients across the pond.
And what about yourself, Nick? A bit more kind of zooming in a bit more on you and your experience. As you ran your own firm for many years. What's it like running a London office of a US firm, a much bigger international firm? What's the difference?
The difference is interesting. Because actually, if you look at the size of the office now, it's a very similar size to Memory Crystal, number of people. But what I then realise is you plug into an amazing group of experts, partners across the offices who just give me and the team the ability to do all sorts of work that we just couldn't do as a London-only law firm. I was finding it more and more challenging in an international world to just have English law expertise. Yeah, as you know, I'm a capital markets lawyer, and it's no secret that the London markets have been in the doldrums, although I think we're coming out of them, and we've helped with that. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But the ability to talk to a client who wants a listing in New York and be totally agnostic as to where it lists, and to be able to offer that as part of the armour is really interesting.
And just going back on that case and where I started from, and listed in the Times, the Fermi case. Tell us a bit about that.
So Fermi was really, I guess, proof of concept very quickly, which was great. So Fermi is, or was, and currently is, the first dual listing London, New York that's been done simultaneously with a fundraising since the mid-90s. Fermi itself is an energy business in the AI space, off-grid data for powering the next generation of data in Texas. Very much of the moment, as we all know, there's not enough power to power the data centers that are going to power the AI of the future. And our Dallas office started working with the client. The business was founded in January and listed with a valuation of $12 billion when we listed it in October. And the CEO was passionate about adding a London listing to his New York listing, which for me was manna from heaven, having spent the last 20 years promoting the London markets. So we were brought in late. We were given, I called it Mission Impossible, which we made Mission Possible because it hadn't been done. But London has spent the last 3 years right-sizing its capital markets regulations. I sit on the advisory board of the London Stock Exchange A market, and we were able to do something today, or in the last 6 months, which just wouldn't have been possible without those rules being changed. So we helped put together a deal team in London. We introduced the company to its brokers. Yeah, we do more than just law. I think it's an entrepreneurial firm. I've always been entrepreneurial in the business of law. And so we managed to get a listing done through the London Stock Exchange in probably 25% of the time that it would normally take. As a result of the regulators really helping. I know the regulatory environment pretty well, having worked in it for a long time. We brought in experts to help, and the client was, I said to him, it was really interesting, I said to him, why don't you do a Live Aid moment? Because we were trying to work out how to open the two markets simultaneously. So I said to him, why don't you open New York, jump on a plane, come to London, and open London the following morning? And that was right at the beginning, and we fist pumped on that one.
I thought you were going to bring out a single or something.
And I said, I'll get it done. And everyone went, you're mad, you won't, it's impossible. And we got it done. And he did exactly that. So the team opened the market in New York Wednesday evening, jumped on a plane, and we had a big party in London Thursday morning. Right. We worked completely seamlessly with the team in the US. So it was a one team. We were taking the US offering document, making it London friendly, working as one cross-border capital markets team. And that was very much the vision for the capital markets that I worked through with the team in the US when we were working out whether this was the right move.
Okay. And just looking a bit more about your leadership style, we talked about coming here, and you've obviously been in a kind of leadership role for a long time. How's that changed in the sense of we've now got hybrid working, we've now got increased pressures on lawyers, and we've seen in the world the digital age. I know we're sort of post the digital age, not new, but there is a lot more pressure. There's a lot more pressure to bill. There's a lot more pressure on associate, all different things. How do you think your leadership style's evolved with that, Roger? Or what's needed? What's needed now?
I've always had a pretty clear style, which is you lead by example, and that is really important. You work with like-minded people, and for me, you always surround yourself with people smarter than you are, and that's worked really well for me. And actually, yes, the digital age, yes, there's more pressure, yes, there's all those sorts of things. I make myself very available. I make myself very present, and I make sure this is a good place to work.
And have you had a mentor through your career, or has it been sort of self-taught?
I have. No, I've had a number of. I try and learn from everything I do. Leslie Gregory, who came across the firm with me, Leslie hired me in the year 2000. We're still partners 26 years later. She was chairman while I was CEO at Memory Crystal, and we've worked together very closely. And I've taken my very first firm. I worked at a firm called Seddons in the West End. And there was I guess the person who I owe pretty much all of this to originally, Harvey Ingram. And Harvey was very much detailed, but it was all about people and relationships. So I'm approachable, my door's open, I'm busy, but I will always make time to see people. And you have to be able to try and find some sort of balance. When we were in the middle of the Fermi deal and people hadn't slept for 48 hours, my instinct at the end of that is, guys, go take 2-3 days off. Go recharge yourself. Go take your wife or your husband out for dinner. Go see your kids. That's really important to me. I was at lunch today with one of my partners and a client, and I don't want any of my partners to miss stuff that they want to be doing with their families. So you trust them, you empower them. If they want to go and see a show this afternoon that their son's doing, I trust them to be back online after dinner and do what they need to do. And the new world helps with that. Back in the day, if you were pulling an all-nighter, you were sat at this desk and everybody was waiting for paper to be printed. So you can just be available and trust people like grown-ups. Yeah, empower people. I always believe in over promoting people as far as they can go.
Okay. And what you talked about, that sort of balance and things people having time to do non-legal and life. What do you do to relax? I know you're a Spurs fan, but that's probably more stressful than a completion.
I'm terrible at relaxing. It's just the way I've always been. I guess the key for me has always been going to football, which is a stressful, unpleasant most of the time as a Tottenham fan, but making sure that was pretty sacrosanct. I go with my dad still, which my brother and my son and my daughter occasionally when we can get a ticket. In the last few years, I've gone back to scuba diving, and that actually is the thing for me that has been quite almost life-changing in a really positive way. Because if I'm playing paddle and my watch is on because I want to see if I'm working hard enough, it's still pinging with messages, and I'm never really switched off. Underwater, this is here, but it's just my dive computer. Yeah. And I have to be fully engaged in that. And that's the one time where I really do manage to switch off. So it may be an hour in the day, but it's difficult. Yeah, my kids will tell you I've never had a holiday where I haven't worked, because that's just, but I'd much rather, my clients are everything. And if a client needs me, then I'm available. I don't know if that's healthy. The world's changed for all of us. As a firm, we spend a huge amount of time. We have HB Wellness. So, for example, there's a session online tomorrow about mindfulness and balancing stress, and we do weekly, they're really good, weekly sessions for people. Every office in the firm has a wellness room, and there's a room where people can go.
Can non-HB people use this?
You can use it, Jonathan. It's over there.
I might join some of these sessions. They sound very nice.
It has a sofa. You can go and switch off. That's really important. And it is way pressurized compared to when I started a while ago. But I'm not very good at switching off, as you well know.
Yeah.
Nor are you.
No, I'm not either.
You and I are messaging at 11 o'clock at night, or you're on holiday somewhere and I'm in the States, and we're constantly carrying on. I'm not sure, as I said, that's the role model potentially, but we're in high pressured jobs. We're very well paid.
And we're service industries.
And we have clients, and they're everything. And so we have to be available to deal with that. And
I wanted to also, you've mentioned wellness and the culture of HB. What about diversity?
Yep.
How diverse is HB, given... the reason I flag it as well for people watching and listening to understand about your policies, but being a Texas firm, sometimes there's a kind of, people make an assumption of a certain stereotype of Texans that may be less diverse. So how does HB fit into diversity?
It's absolutely core to the culture. And I guess you asked about my management style. For me, I've always run a meritocracy. Yeah. And therefore, the best person for the role has always been whatever that person is. I have a daughter who's making her way in the world. And so I'm absolutely aware of what that means. And Leslie was my role model, so I've always had a female boss. Got two of those, the other one's at home. And so we're working together. We're about to announce 2 new hires into the office. They're both female. Yep. We have a number of partners, diversified partnership. Yep. I was the first person in my family to go to university. And we've got partners in the London office who haven't got the stereotypical went to Eton, went to Cambridge, city backgrounds. So it's very, very important. And certainly in the States and here, we're very involved in future leaders programs. I'm on the board or the board liaison on one of our programs that's very much aimed at making sure that the lawyers of tomorrow who maybe haven't got the same access to what others have got are able to come and make a career at Haynes Boone, at Memory Crystal, and we're launching it here as well. I've always worked with the Sutton Trust, which is an amazing organisation that helps people from less privileged backgrounds access the workplace. So I did an amazing session last year where there were 10 people in the room, probably from about 6 different countries originally. Interestingly, 80% female, none of whom had been to university in their family. They were all the first. They were second, third year lawyers. They came in, they spent time with us, and we're just relaunching the Sutton Trust here at Haynes Boone in London.
Sure.
So it's vital, Jonathan. I'm at the point in my career where making sure and giving back and those opportunities, particularly to people who need and deserve the same opportunity as our kids, is really important.
And what keeps you awake at night, Nick? Or are you so tired at the end of the day you just crash out?
I'm not a very good sleeper, which won't surprise you given what we just discussed. All sorts of things. I mean, ultimately, for me, are my team happy? Which sounds, happy people work hard and like coming into the office and like to be part of the team. So first of all, is the team working. For me, this week in January is the same every year of my career. I go, oh dear, it's the beginning of the year, start again. The deal sheet is cleared. Everything we did last year, let's go again. Let's build. Yeah,
it's cold and dark, miserable.
Cold, dark, miserable. How do we grow the office and keep the culture? There's been, you and I have talked about that at length. And then how do I make sure that we're doing our partners proud across the pond who've invested heavily in London? And then there's all sorts of non-work things that keep me up at night, including my football team. But really, it's very much about keeping the people we've got and working with you and the team to grow out the office, because I think there's an amazing opportunity for Haynes Boone. I described it as a well-kept secret in London. Very well known in certain areas, shipping, energy, fund finance, preeminent teams who were at the launch of the office. Our VC team that joined 18 months ago, now the capital markets and corporate team. But getting the name spread wide and making sure that we're hiring the very best people we can is one of the things that keeps me up at night. How do you compete in this crazy world that we're now living in of salary inflation and it's different to when you and I started.
Lovely. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for your time and telling us more about yourself and your career and about Haynes Boone.
Jonathan, thank you. Jonathan and the team at Redlaw have been my partner in all of the recruiting that we've done. I think we were your first client, or I was at Memory Crystal.
You were.
I was.
And I even came round and you gave us a cheque.
I did, so you could
we could pay the rent.
So you could take your building.
Yeah, we could take our building.
And so Jonathan has been instrumental, and Amy and the team, with the work that I've done and in the year that we've been here together at Haynes Boone as well. So thank you and the team for all of that, and thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you, Nick.